Someone you love is going to die. You already know this. You have known it for years, and yet when it happens, you will not know what to do with your hands. That feeling, that total collapse of normal behavior, is one of the most human things you will ever experience. But here is what nobody tells you. The way you grieve, the rituals you follow, the things you say over a body. None of it is modern. None of it is civilized. The real answer goes back much, much further than that. And it is far stranger than you think. Let's go back, way back, not to ancient Egypt or classical Greece. Further, 100,000 years further. Imagine you are a human living 300,000 years ago. Your group is small, maybe 25, maybe 40 people. Everyone you have ever known is in that group. You were born surrounded by the same faces that will bury you. There are no strangers. There is only the group. And when someone in the group stops moving, when their eyes go still and their chest stops rising, something happens inside every other body in that circle. Something old and enormous and not yet named. You do not walk away. That is the first thing. You do not leave them there. In 2013, a team of researchers in South Africa made a discovery that shook the field of paleoanthropology. Deep inside a cave system called Rising Star, they found the fossilized remains of a previously unknown human species, Homo naledi. The bones were located in a chamber so deep and so difficult to reach that the only explanation, according to paleoanthropologist Lee Berger and his team, was intentional placement. These ancient beings, with brains roughly 1/3 the size of yours, had carried their dead into the dark. On purpose. Long before Homo sapiens ever walked the earth, something that looked almost like you was already treating its dead as something more than discarded matter. That changes everything you thought you knew about grief. The Rising Star discovery suggests that the impulse to do something with the dead, to mark their absence, to carry them somewhere, is not a product of culture. It is something older than culture. It may be baked into the biological architecture of social primates who depend on each other to survive. When you feel the urge to sit beside someone who has died, when you feel wrong about leaving the room, when you feel compelled to touch their hand one last time, that is not sentiment. That is not weakness. That is 300,000 years of evolutionary wiring firing exactly as designed. Your nervous system is running ancient code, and that code says, this body mattered. The group does not abandon its own. Across dozens of ancient burial sites, from Shanidar Cave in Iraq to Sangir in Russia, archaeologists have found something consistent and deeply unexpected. The dead were not just placed somewhere and covered. They were adorned. Ochre-stained bones, flower pollen packed around remains, beads made from shells, tools placed beside hands. Objects that only make sense if the people burying them believed, in some form, that the dead still needed things. Archaeologist April Nowell has argued that this kind of symbolic behavior, using objects to represent something invisible, something felt rather than seen, is evidence of a mind that had begun, however primitively, to ask, where did they go? Your brain asks the same question, every time. Because ritual is not about the dead. It never was. Ritual is about the living. It is a technology for surviving the unsurvivable. When a group loses a member, the group is destabilized. The remaining members need something to do together. Something that says, we acknowledge this loss. We mark this moment. We are still a group. Without that, grief can fracture a community faster than almost anything else. Anthropologist Barbara King, who spent years studying grief in non-human animals, found that what happens after a death in a social group is not chaos. It is almost choreographed. A gorilla mother will carry her dead infant for days. An elephant herd will return to the bones of a fallen member for years. These are social repair mechanisms. They stitch the group back together. Your funeral is doing the same thing. You are just wearing different clothes. You live in a time when death has been moved, relocated, professionalized. The rituals have been shortened, outsourced, made efficient, and many people now move through significant losses with no ritual at all. And something in them registers this as wrong, not culturally wrong, wrong in the body, Wrong in the part of the brain that has been running the same mourning protocol since before language existed. Grief without ritual is weight without container. It does not go away. It spreads. Tonight, when you think about someone you have lost, you might find yourself doing something small. Holding an object that was theirs, saying their name to no one in particular, carrying them, in some invisible way, into the dark of the room with you. That is not grief. That is not weakness. That is exactly what ancient humans actually did when someone died. And it turns out, after all this time, you never stopped.